Okay, so I think everyone's here. Right, so let's begin with the class then. So we'll start off the travel illustration or travel journaling with Japan as requested by Ritika because she's traveling in July. So any of you who've already traveled before, if you have any photos from there or any experiences for which you want to make illustrations, even those are welcome. Put them on the group, even write your anecdotes, that'll be very nice. So we have a personal, um, some personal story that we know about. So the whole point of travel illustration is twofold, or I would say multiple fold. When I do travel illustration, I often do it when I'm traveling, obviously. But what I realized when I started in 2011 was the complete inability to know what to do when you're doing travel art. So my first few sketches are very basic. I wasn't sure what exactly I'm trying to do, but uh, I made it a rule that I have to just find something to sketch and start sketching. Then over time, I started looking at other people's sketchbooks. So then I started absorbing those ideas. But that's a cheats way of going about illustration. So what if you've never done it before or you've just had limited exposure to travel illustration or travel journaling, I'd like you to look at it with fresh eyes, as if it is the first thing or you're the first person who's coming up with that idea. Because with that thought in mind, you will then decide what the purpose of your journal is going to be. Very often, it is just a travelogue. So, if you think about it, people who've traveled in the past, like really ancient history, right from the Romans through Marco Polo or even Darwin for that matter, all these guys were meant to just document everything that they saw. Sometimes it was cultural, sometimes it was the natural bounty of the place, and sometimes it was just experiences with people, or even just trading. So it for you that your travelogue can have its own flavor. Like for example, if you are a birder, then maybe many of your travels are going to be centered around birding. If you're a foodie, you enjoy how places from place to place you have different kinds of food. So it gives you a direction to make your journal as well as a direction for your travel. So you don't have to come up with that on the first journal or the first illustration. But what I'm trying to tell you is that don't limit yourself to whatever we do in class or to ideas that other people have used for their travel journals. This is a personal document. So it must have something that is unique to your mind and your life experience. Everybody's travel journals will definitely look different. There's no point in making everything look alike. So, in the course of this month, I am going to just show you different ways of tackling the different topics you might come across when you are traveling. When the purpose of doing this travel illustration month is to practice before you start traveling, because when you're traveling you have limited time, limited scope. You are in a location you can't change. You have either some work to do or you have things to do with family or friends, so you have limited time to yourself to make the illustrations. So when you're carrying a journal without forethought, you land up just thinking with your journal in your hand, one pencil ready, and you don't know what to do. And the last day, you'll probably desperately make a few lines saying that at least I made something. In order to avoid that, the pre-travel practice can help. So we'll start off with making this Japanese store that I found. I have no idea what this store is. Looks like a coffee shop or a tea shop. That's the first one. And the second one, I believe, is a bookshop. So I've come across these pictures only on Pinterest. So uh, I really don't know the authenticity. And since I don't know the script, I'm just hoping that the person who has tagged the picture has tagged it accurately. Now, I don't know whether the script is Japanese even. It looks so decorative. It does not look like a casual hand. But whatever little I know of the roof structure, it looks very Japanese. So I'm just going by it. That's the problem with photographs. So if you want to find authentic photographs, you will in fact find them if you are, like in Ritika's case, since you're going in July, if you Google search places, or you go, if you study articles or read articles on what to do over there you will start finding authentic sources. Now, this is a place in a, sorry, this is a building in a place called Matsumoto. And I tried doing a Google search, but I could not find this very store. As you can see, it's flanked by two modern buildings. This seems to be the last vestige of an old historic time. We don't know whether it still exists, but you can find that. And then you can find the street view, you can find even contact details. And if you really want to go to a very nerdy extent, you can connect with the people, and you can also ask them if they have more authentic information, so that your journal starts becoming a real journal while you are still virtually traveling. So I have chosen one complex topic today, which is this is the same store from two different angles. This is just the front view. And these, I think, are Japanese lanterns, just going by the motif that I see them. So we will try and paint some of these. So let's try making this not contemporary, slightly less ornate and maybe doable illustration. And I'm going to try and show this to you in a slightly easy style. I don't want to make it too complex. I'm assuming that we are standing in front of this place. We have about 20 minutes to sketch. Maybe it's hot or sunny or cold or whatever. So you want to make quick sketches. And I'll show you how to build up textures, but we are not going to go into the kind of very detailed work, very accurate work that you think might be what would make your illustration look good. And that's how urban sketching differs from illustration. Now, when you're traveling, in all probability, you will carry a journal or a sketchbook. There is A5 in size, so that it will be half the size of our A4 page. Let me show you a typical journal. So it'll be something like this, about this thickness, and it can continue for many months or many years through your experience. So this becomes the whole size. In order to simulate, we will fold our paper from one end to the perforation so that it looks like an A5 size illustration. With this, automatically you reduce the burden of filling this whole thing up. That's another thing. When you have very large format, then you have to also fill up that much space. Now, when you're making illustrations and or in a journal, we go by a standard layout formula where you can put the more important journal on your right-hand side as a default. So again, going to one of these. And this is something that I follow only because I did graphic design for a long time before. Yet, you can have something like this as well. A small illustration, very detailed on one page, and then on the other page, just a description, maybe some text. Oh, here I've done everything with that. Yeah, so something like this. Two reasons is that for a right-handed person, it's easier to draw and paint on the right-hand side because you will be out in the open holding your book and trying to illustrate, or doing this and trying to illustrate. So trying this becomes very difficult. We have to think about portability. But there's no rule that says that your journal has to have this. In magazines, it is like this because on the left hand, this is how we read our books. So when we are flipping pages, you hardly see any text on the left. You will see more of the stuff on the right. So you miss out all the pictures. And in magazines, advertisers, since they're paying money, they want their uh, content to be on a visible page. Therefore, by default, all ads are put on the right and all the interesting articles are put on the left. So you have to really like sit and do this. So if you are not, if you're unsure about it, then make all your big illustrations on the right for sake of convenience and also for ease of flipping through. Now we will make the building on the right hand side and we can make it about this size. You don't have to make it too large. If we find information about this building, you can write something about that. If not, then we can just illustrate some other stuff. We can create little stickers and we can put them so that the whole page becomes very interesting. In Japan, especially, you will find lots of stickers. Japan and Korea and even Southeast Asia, they love stickers and they love putting all sorts of cute stickers all over. So you can go and collect those and decorate your journals with that. Now, let's see how we are going to make this illustration. So in pencil, we are first going to make some basic proportions. Always start with some kind of square because you know exactly how tall and how long your building or your structure is going to be as compared to the square. So let me make that square again from here, the inside a little bit. See, this so neatly fits in just a little inside of these pillars, these structure pillars that support the downstairs roof. When we have a square, now we can divide it in half vertically, horizontally, and start getting some more lines going. Once you have divided the square, you can use these proportions like the half square rectangle and see that perhaps this is the height of the floor above. It's almost the same as half of the square. So the proportions of this building are essentially just a 2x3 grid. If we further divide it into quarters, we start getting an idea of where other significant elements fit in. Somewhere over here, you start getting an idea of how the window panes fit, how these curtains fit, lamps, this little stone marker, the sign, and then also going further, divide it into eighths if you feel the need. Wherever you think it's going to help, you can just keep making these lines and use that as a guide. I think I've made this building before. Anyone in this class remembers we've made this building before? Okay, so it must be in another batch.
I think Aditi, when we went to Millen's studio, do you remember that we did a Japanese storefront with a cycle in it? I mean, he painted for us.
That's very possible. Yeah. Because all the features look so familiar. All right. Cool. Okay. Next is, okay, so this is the building part. Then we have the, the stairs, the steps, not stairs, at the bottom. And we are, for the moment, ignoring the bike. Okay. I'll share this image and we will use this to make our sketch. Okay. Now, the given measurements will help you to build the, actually build the building. So remember how we started? We first will make a square. Let's see where we want the square. So I want to make my building up here, not too low, not in the middle, slightly higher. So I will start off with the square from the top. So basically I need to make a 2x3 rectangle, right? So checking for measurement, this looks fine. This will be the top of the building and extend this further. Now this can be done from bottom to top as well. Okay, now at this stage, you can check if this position is good for you, if the size is good for you. If not, make adjustments over here itself. Maybe if you want to get the building lower, if you want to change the proportions, then adjust over here. The roof is going to come higher. It's at about 1/2, less than half on top, somewhere over here. Okay, so this is time to review. Am I happy with this? Now we will start extending. Now, if you are comfortable, let's make this illustration directly in pen to save time. If you're not comfortable, you can make the same lines that I'm making in pencil. And if you want, make it slightly darker so that you don't need to then make the lines in pen again. All right, now since the roof and the tip of the roof are all coming in the front, these are the lines that we make first. Now I'm first starting with a 0.1 pen, and I will make all sorts of wobbly lines, or sorry, horizontal lines. So this is the top roof. Oh, 1 minute, I'll mark a center line as well. Then the top tiles of the roof. So even I'm deliberately making my lines shaky because this is a tiled roof. We don't want too many straight lines. Our lines can also freely overlap, and that will create a nice texture. Okay. Now before we draw the side of the building, add a 1/4 distance up somewhere over here. So this is half, this is 1/4, sorry, this is 1/8. Just at this point, I'm going to draw 5 tiny rectangles. 2 on the side, right on the wall, and 3 in between. They don't have to be exactly central aligned. Above that, I'm going to make some tiny rectangles also. These are going to all be white. And keep the shapes.
Obviously, your screen is frozen. You can't really see what you're doing.
Is it frozen for all?
No, we can see. I can see.
No, Aditi, can see.
No, I can see.
Okay, so 1 second. Tarini, is your video on? Its video is off, right? Oh. We'll just wait a second. I think Tarini has some problems. So those of you who get the idea, if you want to continue, I can just give you theoretically what you can do. Look for all the elements that are overlapping other elements. We now have guidelines so that we can put those elements even before we put the base. So we have this signboard here. We have this very interesting a stone marker. This could have been an old sign also. Then you can make this roof. Repeat these rectangles below the roof. And keep your lines loose. Tarini, are you able to see? No, she's frozen. Okay, she's joining. Okay, Tarini, can you see now?
Yes, Aditi, I can.
All
Yes.
right. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so below this now, someone else has entered as well. Okay. Let's continue. Now let's make this signboard in this center panel. Now, where the center lies, I have not drawn the lines to divide vertically into quarters. But if you feel the need, make those extra lines in pencil. Now, this is how architecture students are trained to illustrate. They will draw a lot of straight lines through and through, and many of them also cross each other. They make for a very nice, sharp line. We need a line that looks very confident, and these very architectural lines can feign that confidence pretty well. The reason I say feign is because I have met many an architect student who, after one class in drawing, has been able to surprise themselves in how well they are drawing buildings just by the quality of their line. So they may not really be good at art as yet, but they're able to make the line impressive enough. Okay, now on two sides, this little wooden sign, I find very intriguing. It's almost like a weird shape inside which you have a wooden board that it's like it's clamped in by this shape. Now these little curiosities on buildings can look very lovely when you paint them. Sometimes there's a sign, sometimes there's some illustration. Now I have zoomed into the picture to see some details. So I see a panel that's running through, another panel that runs through, and we have a bunch of uh, bars here. At the scale we are making this illustration, we cannot be bothered to make double lines for the border, for the grill. So just fill it up. And just try to keep the lines even. Then we have a nice frame inside these rectangles on the side. And slowly you can see it's starting to fill up. Now I keep flipping between the grid line illustration or image, reference image, and the original reference image. Because some places details are obscured by the grid lines. Some places we want to see those details. So you need to remove the grid lines. Now I need to know at what point I need to make the front roof. So I'm going back to the pencil. This is the blue line, end of the blue rectangle on top. After that, we had an orange line, which was here, right? Which was the first quarter of our square, the top quarter of the original square that we drew. Half line is in red, we've already made that. So the roof is seen at an eighth of the distance. So somewhere over here, it's pretty close. So obviously my wooden sign has become too big. So I'm going to manipulate over here and I'm going to drag my roof down just a little amount. But I know how much and I know why. So there aren't going to be too many surprises. And we can make these lines on the side to give us the shape of the roof. But now at this point, we can also make these radiating lines for the bumps in the traditional roof tiles. When you're making these lines, remember that they need to all radiate outwards in a progressive manner. So if you come over here and you have a line that is very slanted, and then by the time you come to the end, your roof is straight, something's going wrong. So it needs to look like this, gradually leaning outward. If you are making these lines very sharply slanted and the end is not as slanted, it's going to look like a mistake. So keep checking with the last line that you've made as the edge of the roof and the lines in between if their angles are progressing or regressing in a particular order. These little details will make the picture look good. Now, to make the detail look fun, you can see that there's a wave on the front of the roof. So there's like a bulk of the tile is bulky on one side and slopes on the other. Maybe they are even arranged sideways instead of down, or they have deliberately kept that bulk so that I'm sure it's maybe something to do with how if it was stacked with snow, the snow will then glide smoother. Whatever it is, it gives us an opportunity to create a nice pattern. So we can make these lines in pen. And you can make a double line here for each of those, or you can make a single line, leaving some room. This is where, again, those of you who have been doing your pencil yoga, I suspect nobody is, because even I'm not, so don't feel too bad about it. Will not have too much of a problem making the lines in this direction. This was the worst line direction ever. And now you can make a bump between these lines. So wherever you have a double line, obviously make the bump there. But I'm not making a bump. I mean, I've not made double lines everywhere. So the bump touches only one side. So the rhythm of that bump continues, and then it's shallow. So if you have a steady hand, you can do this whole up and down in one shot. Or if you're unsure, first make the bumps or the valleys and then make the valleys. And now you can turn the left side of the bump around to simulate the fat part of the tile, maybe in a few places. And put a line at the base. Don't go right to the end, because here we have a wonderful feature. We have some kind of a square end, almost like a bookend, which will give us pillars. Now, make a double line under this roof very close. The reason I'm using a 0.1 is to make very thin lines very close to each other. And right below the place where we have made these small rectangles on the top roof, you will see small rectangles on the bottom roof. Since they are Japanese, I would assume that they would have a way to make these rectangles exactly one below the other. They're probably a set of lights which are manufactured with the same 1 foot distance or 9.5 inches distance between them. And wherever you put them, so long as you match the center, everything will be aligned. Similarly with the bigger rectangle, except that it is now not seen from below, it's seen from the front. So it is just behind the small lamps, but will directly under the lamps on top. Okay, roof made. We still have that texture, but we will think about that texture later. We won't make it right now. Okay, any questions so far? Is everyone with me? Anyone needs me to wait for a minute or so? All right. Okay, going back to our grid. Now the roof is made, lights are done. This is our red half line. We can make one line below this where we can make the bottoms of those black curtains. Now, I don't know whether they're curtains, but they're very typically Japanese. You see them in Japanese restaurants also. So I've just marked a line there. We will look at the curtains in detail in the other picture, and then we'll draw. Right below the curtains, the window pane begins. Then we have a very large window. Look for alignment from the top. These windows are just slightly wider and come down to, this is the line, 1/4, which is the orange line. And the windows end at 1/8 of this square. So we have the size of our window panes. All right, now are you all getting how I'm sizing and proportioning all these things? Just using the internal maths or proportioning. So you might argue that it's well and fine. We are working from a photograph, we have laptops, and we are able to make these drawings. But I'm going to urge you to try this by clicking a picture of a building in front of you sometime and use the same kind of measuring. You can also draw. Send the image to somebody or send it on the group. When you have to send it, you have an edit tool which allows you to just quickly make these markings, maybe even save the image, so that you can keep referring to the real image, which in this case would be the original reference image, and look at your phone, which has the grid, so you can check for these markers. Within the panes, we have within the windows, we have 3 panes. So roughly divide the space into 3 parts vertically or horizontally. And then at the bottom also, you have a pane which is not glass, but a wooden panel. That brings us down to the base of the square very well. Now, before we proceed, we have to accommodate a pillar which comes here. And I have a feeling here, but I can't see it in the grid image, so I'm going back to the original image. Now that is obscured by the cycle. And there's something very complicated over there. There's a bench and there's something else over there. All right, so let's make that bench. So the bench is just 2 lines, 3 lines actually, and a rhombus shape on the side. Two legs, and also we will make our steps. Now, obviously, the bench has to come in front. So make sure that the legs are long enough. And it also has a nice bar to keep your feet there. And our pillar is something that comes from here, right on the edge of the right edge of the wall, just above the window panes. You have the support beam or the angle for the pillar, which comes from here. Just the roof of, the support of the roof. And on the left, I don't know where this pillar comes from, but it's okay, not my business to know that. There is a lamp here. Below that, there is another lamp. And behind that is some sort of pillar, which comes right here to the edge of our building in this form. And the first step comes at the end of the pillar. I don't know if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, and it might be a little confusing, but just bear with me. If it's super confusing and you have no idea what I've drawn, then just ask me and I'll try to explain it to you. Because I'm going to start now by inking the bench. After that, I will ink the steps over here, which are blocks. And then I will go to the building above. So are you clear on the bench? Yeah, more or less. Okay, let's go with it. So this bench, though I've drawn a side, I can't see a side in the reference image. So I'm not going to make that side. And make the legs slightly long and put this little sidebar. Just right at this point between the two sidebars, like one bar, horizontal bars, is the line of the the steps, right? And over here is the line of where the steps begin. So I'm going to draw that line first. I'm not drawing the steps, I'm drawing the line where the steps begin. Coming up higher to the base of what looks like a pillar to me, I'm drawing the floor. Then the base of the pillar. So now we have the bottom part pretty okay. And there's some kind of stool or something over here. I don't know what. Little pagoda. It's very cute, but I can't see it. So I'm letting that go. And I'm just going to make a straight panel here. All right, let's start from the top now. Our base is ready. Let's start with the other stuff. So make a little extension to this knob at the bottom. And from here, we'll draw a slightly wobbly line that comes towards the building. And make a line parallel to this wobbly line closer to the top. So that looks like the side of this panel. I think there's one lamp here as well. Like these 5, there's these 5 here. Now, not on this edge, but somewhere in the middle, we will start a line that finishes this building. There also seems to be a pipe over here. So just draw this vertical line. As much as I said, we are not getting into details. This is a lot of detail. Huh? Only the lines are casual. Follow the lines of this lamp to the long lamp. There is some text on it. If we can, we'll write it. Otherwise, let it be. Then there are some little rectangular stickers or something on the what I see as the pillar. Finish of the pillar. Both sides finished. Now these 2 panes are, I think, 2 folding or sliding doors, which means that these 2 panels will overlap these 2 panels. So we'll first draw the central panels. Draw the entire rectangle. In the center. This is the whole rectangle. Now we will draw the panel. So I'm dodging that line that we have drawn at 1/3 and make a rectangle in the space in between. So I'm making a frame over there. Try to keep your frames matching in dimension and also where the line aligns to the left side. Then a considerable distance below comes the last wooden panel. This is not transparent. And here we can have an additional rectangle in the middle because it's going to fill up. And one more line on top. Now we repeat the same thing, but in order to make it to look like sliding doors, just make the top not match. Draw this line slightly lower from the top and slightly higher from the bottom. So these look like sliding doors. Now, as much as you would say that why do we get into so much detail, I enjoy making these little details. Now, remember, also notice how we don't have, the rectangle doesn't finish in another line over here because this is the right edge of the door below is overlapped by the left edge of the door on top. So you will see only one line here, not two lines. And that is a tiny detail that will make the picture look like, I don't even know if the brain is capable, but my belief is that these are the little things that the brain does catch. And the difference between a thoughtful illustration made showing such little but significant details is what makes an illustration more enjoyable. And now this is the consideration that makes it an artist, or one artist do things one way, another artist do another way. There's no right or wrong way of doing anything. It can just be your way. Okay, now I'm going to draw the curtains above, and there's a significant dark patch over here. So my curtains are going to be really small. I'm not making them too long. But I'm not going to show them tone either. I don't like to show these tone things. But show some kind of overlap, maybe some fold, so that it looks like fabric and not tile. Some gaps that are inexplicable. And it's filling up. Now for the stone steps on the front and the pavement. The stone steps are in this structure. You have the top of the step and the front of the step, and they need to finish well behind the leg of the stool or higher. We can align these lines again, at least the top, so that it looks like the steps are again in a radiating manner. On the front, the line will always point down, and on the top of the steps, they will be radiating like we made lines here. But because these are flat stones and not slanted, the angle at which we perceive them will make these lines radiate a little more acutely. When making the tile though, don't make it like this. Don't draw two big horizontal lines and then these vertical lines. If you have the patience for it, draw each individual step. So your lines will forcibly be like they will be self-contained blocks. And in that, you will get the feel of these tiles. Okay, let's make the roof. Same structure as the bottom. And if you want to, you can make more of these patterns on the top. This texture can be made very fast and just indicative also. Does not have to be too accurate. Okay, how's it looking? All right. Shall we start painting? Has anyone studied Japanese in class? No one? Okay, one thing let's do is write the text on top and just go by the shapes, huh? So you have first you have this some kind of red patch in the center. Then on the left you have vertical, horizontal, like a number 4, like L and T or J, L and J shape. And on the right, an inverted Y shape. These thicknesses and all mean a lot. Hopefully we've not butchered something. All right. I'm getting some water. Now looking at the colors, they're mostly warm colors, few colors that there's yellows and grays and things that are mixed together. When you are painting in as a travel sketch, look for simplicity. Look for colors that are layerable so that you can do one wash, then quickly make another wash. Allow for a lot of splatter, allow for energy in the painting. We're not trying to make this is a painting that you want to put up on a wall. It's not like a commemorative painting. So there are a lot of freedoms available in this painting. For the most part, we will be using a nice fat brush and making very many washes. So in order to not be completely bored while the wash dries, let's make a few of the lanterns on the left side page. Now this is a very odd picture where you see the lanterns from the bottom. But I thought this would be a very interesting way to make your page, just to fill up your page. We don't always have to make objects that are bang on. These little things can be made in more creative ways to add interest to your page. So before we start painting on the right, let's look at these lanterns. Maybe we can make a series or 2 rows or something. Start with the center row where you can see the red lantern on the right. Let me just point it out to you. So this is the one I'm going to begin. It is a cylinder seen from the bottom. Above that, there's another one, and next to that, below that, or which is overlapped by the first one, is the second row. They're all converging towards the top just because of perspective. So I will make the first cylinder by making an oval, another oval some distance away, and joining them from the sides. Then you make a round on top, bulbous slightly from the side, and bring it down. Now this is for those of you who can't see that shape. And at the bottom, just touching this edge will be another oval shape on which we will draw some thickness, and the same thickness you will see on the top. So this is how it almost looks like one of those gas cylinders that we buy. Maybe mine is looking like a gas cylinder because it's too long. If you want to avoid making any of these, just draw the lines like you see them. So I see one line over here, which comes this way. I'm completing this lantern, though I don't see all of it. The bottom would be like something like this. Then there are lots of lines. And the best bit is the design. Now it is in a weird shaped circle, but we can just make it like a slightly ovalish shape. And the design is also very elegant. You have 3 circles first, and then each circle is then attached to the next one on the right with a tail, and the tail comes from the outside of the circle. The black flower could very well be, what could it be? I'm sure there's some kind of symbolism to this. So you have one line from the center going down along the center of the tilted lantern. Then one line going to 8, one line going to 4, 2 and 10. Another circle inside. And here the directions reverse. So you just extend the same lines further from themselves. Okay, can I use this opportunity to show this lovely graphic? And that can be a sticker. Yeah, wait a minute. We can make a sticker also. Do you have bits and pieces of paper, some rough sheet or an old bill? I generally have papers like that lying around from old exercises. So we can make both these patterns in stickers. Make 2 circles. And keep them casual. So the first design was like that. Somewhere mark the center. And just short of the center, you will draw 3 circles, one aligned at 12 o'clock, one aligned at 8 o'clock, and one at 4 o'clock. So see, the difference between the 3 is also 3. So 12 or 4, 3 to 12 to 4 is 4, 4 to 8 is 4, and 8 to 12 is again 4. So they are equidistant. And then At some point, you mark a point on the right side of each circle. And from there, you mark a curve. That's the design. I love how Japanese designs are so simple and yet mathematical and yet elegant and often very easy to replicate. Although I'm still hoping that this is truly a Japanese design. Okay, now the next one, like I said, from the center, you mark a line that actually just mark from 12 to 6, 2 to 8, 10 to 4. Make another circle inside. And make another circle inside. Okay, so each of these triangles will have a particular motif, and I'm going to draw that to you for you. So, from the central circle, I have a line that goes like that. It's like a little U, and from there, I will make a petal. This becomes the center, and I make 5 petals like that along all these axes. Yeah? Are they all on the same? No, they're not on the same. So this is here. Then these two are in between. And this is in between. That's why the rough paper comes in handy. Yeah? I always work with rough paper. And by rough paper also, I mean sometimes an old bill. You will have some bill or another. Some angle issue has happened here, but I'll figure it out. And then comes the petal on the outside. Which is essentially just a rounded shape. There are some flowers like that, which there's a white colored flower, I know, that looks very delicate, almost as if the petals are not even touching the center. Now we can paint this, and at the later point we can color this up. So for the purpose of our lanterns here, once you know how the design is made, you can paint the design even later. So remove this design for now and focus on the structure. It's the same kind of structure, and you can make it in pen. Now, since we have made these also lines very casual, you can make the lanterns also very casual. And if you want, you can even let the lines go through, because you can see a lot of the lantern through or underneath from the hollow. One above that. Start with an oval shape. Give that oval shape some thickness. And then see how you can make the same lantern, but this time make the lines converge a little to the top. Just slightly. In this case also the same thing. And now here you can make some lines of the lantern. This is probably the bamboo structure. And draw it as you see it. Just shade one end so that it looks dark. And a little 3D effect without even painting. All right. Now we'll do a little bit of this painting, a little bit of this painting, so that all of this finishes together. Also, we can wait patiently while one thing dries and you don't impatiently add too much color in the wrong place or whatever. All sorts of stuff can happen. Okay, ready? Shall we begin?
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Okay, no problem. I'll just come in a minute then. Okay. All right, shall we begin? Everyone ready? Okay. Now for the lanterns, let's start off with one gray color. If you have any gray. Yeah, okay, Tarini. Use any gray, just even a light black wash is fine. Because for this one, I don't see a bluish hue or brownish. But if you have that also, that's fine. You just need a little wash to put at the bases where we have shadows and along the sides. So press the brush down and along the sides. You can use the same color also to make some of these lines if you want, just a few from the bottom. Well, not this big, but just slim lines. Now remember, keep your color very light. And if you're not sure what light means, make a test sample on a rough sheet. Avoid making any test samples here. Remember, this is going to be your journal. Now the same color we are going to use to make our glass here. But I would like you to keep two brushes handy. One is to deposit the color and one is to pull the color down. Also keep a nice rag handy. My rag has run away. Okay, let's use a little blue in this because I like my windows to have a slightly blue tint to them. It's still a wash. And I'm going to apply this to the tops of my windows like this. A reasonably concentrated color on the top panes. And then using a small damp brush without too much water in it, just damp. Pull this color downward. Then wipe your brush again and pull it down again. So the top of the window must have the darker hue and the bottom just has a little tinge of that. All the windows can look different. They don't have to have the same reflection, I would say. Repeat the same for all the windows as you come down. And do one panel or one set of horizontal panels at a time, because usually reflections are according to the height of that glass, not according to the length. And as you come down, the color will automatically become little lighter. Now we are painting only the top 3 panels on all these, not the bottom panel because that is in wood. Oh, I put too much water here. Let's see what happens. While the window is drying, I'm using the small brush to paint my sticker. If you are comfortable with brush, then I would encourage you to paint the sticker. Don't color it with your pen. But if you feel more comfortable making it in, or just coloring it up in pen for the sharp lines you get, then do it in pen. This design has a better logic to it. I've goofed up somewhere. Now the other design you can make as a combination of scarlet and orange instead of just painting one flat color. Only to make the watercolor bit in it look like it's more fun. Normally when we use just one color, you could get a very flat effect. I personally enjoy when the color looks as unpredictable as we imagine it to be. So many years ago, I came across a wonderful painting of horses made in watercolor, very tiny paintings. They were almost like a modern take on miniature paintings. And I was struck by the beauty of how the artist had mastered the unpredictability of watercolor. So they had made the feet of the horse in a particular position, and I could tell much later on, of course, that he had just touched the feet with a black ink, and because of the water, the ink had just run up along the wet paper to go and join the body of the horse, and it was magical. Now, I don't know whether the artist had done it consciously or it had just happened accidentally. Whatever it was, it was glorious. It made the picture just look so magical. So, when things like these happen, or as is going to happen in the rest of our picture, allow for that magic and don't be in a rush to act. We are going to make a whole lot of washes that go from one into another. And the color of the sky is going to come into the color of the roof, perhaps, or into the building panel. Don't be alarmed and don't try to correct it. Let that happen. So for the building now, I am preparing a sky with cerulean blue. I will be painting the roof in a raw umber. That's this one. Maybe I'll put it in my green. So if you don't have green, then just use a raw umber. As you can see, my raw umber will just become slightly tinted, but it'll retain its original color quite well. And then I think a combination of yellow ochre, and burnt sienna for the wooden parts of our building. But I want to show you how the painting is done. The first layer is going to be all these colors merging into each other. So just sit back and observe for a minute and then paint it. Don't paint with me. I'm making the sky along the roof. A little of that will also go into the lantern. You don't have to make a sky that looks logically a sky also. I could just put some kind of backdrop around it and leave the shape the way it is. And to this, I can then add my roof tile. Now this is looking too green, so I'll just quickly change the color. I've added a yellow ochre. And that yellow ochre and burnt sienna mix for the wooden parts of the building. So I am staining the paper. I'm just dragging my brush gently around. I think if you look carefully, you might scarcely see my hand on screen. It's invisible. The brush is moving on its own. That is how far I'm holding the brush. And then as you come to the bottom, you can use this gray again, along with this burnt sienna mix to create the floor and the tiles, and also maybe this pillar, all of this. Now, while things are still wet, I can also go ahead and paint right underneath the roof. And carefully avoiding those lamps. Yeah, so see how there's so much happening. It's not all just hold like that and color by numbers. This will make the illustration jump out at you. And by all means, if you want to spread the color even outside, like there's a wooden, not wooden, it's a brick structured building on the side, feel free to also include that in part of your illustration. And if you want, you can make that brick structure also afterwards. This becomes your layer one. I could have also done this part, actually might as well. And then I will make some of the, what are they called? Flags, slightly deeper in color. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give you 10 minutes to make this wash. We are already at 11 o'clock. So those of you who feel you need to leave, you can leave now that you've seen this. But I don't mind waiting 10 minutes to see how you proceed, and then we can continue from this point in the next class. Okay, bye, Shivani.
I also have to leave.
All right. Do it later, and if you want, watch the video again and do it so that you don't have to memorize the colors or anything right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Just glide your brush. If you have too much medium in your brush, uh, because I've asked you to take a very watery medium, just dab the brush, go back into whatever color you're using and spread it very slowly. Don't be in a rush. And don't keep going over and over the same spot again. That is going to do nothing.
हाँ Aditi,
Yeah.
I set up a dukan, but sorry.
What? What happened?
There is a lantern ka dukan.
Oh, too
I didn't.
many. Okay, so you could have made the one more that you made here is fine. This is now eating into. You'll have
Yeah. So I just looked at the picture and I replicated the whole thing.
to. Okay, goes to show that you don't have to do the whole thing. Now you'll know. There's
Yeah.
always
Maybe I can just put the stickers on top of the other
yeah.
lantern. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah, you
matter, no?
can not just that. So if you feel the lanterns are too much, you
Huh.
could also take an old tracing paper or baking paper or something.
Huh.
Maybe make another illustration or write something and put that on top of
On top of the lantern. Yeah,
lanterns.
that I can do.
It's become such a background now, and if it tends
Yeah.
to be boring, make that look like not such a significant part.
Okay.
You could also make you might find some interesting origami paper.
Huh.
So you could take that origami paper or some washi tape and
Yeah.
make a nice border
Border, yeah.
for the tracing
Oh
paper.
yeah,
Then
I have
write
lots of washi tape. My sister has
Huh.
been freaking out and buying tons of it.
Good. So there are lots of things that you can do. Goof ups are a part of the joy of travel journals. Oh, Zai has just said the lanterns are from a festival that takes place in July. You'll be able to see that.
No.
Okay, I will ask her. Yes.
I was
Good.
looking at pictures after I saw Ritika's. There's also this nice temple, I forget the name, where they
Huh.
have all those cats, that are like this. And
Huh.
there are tons and tons and tons of cats. It's so cute. I'll put that also on the group.
Yes, yes, please do it. Yeah.
Yeah, those cats. Yeah, I've seen.
Those waving cats, right?
Yeah,
Waving cats,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's for luck. I have seen people keep them in cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. We keep doing this or something like that.
And they have nice cat cafes and all that. Nentara has a friend who lives in Tokyo. So,
Oh,
so she keeps sending us all these interesting things that she comes across. So I'll share some of them on the group.
yeah. Nice.
Nice
Nice,
places,
Ritika.
quaint places to go to and all that.
Good. You should send them to Ritika. She can.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, the flights were really, I mean, we got the good flight deal, so it was like 36,000 for to and fro when we booked.
Wow,
What?
that's really good, man.
How?
Wow.
How did you get that?
I don't know, my husband was looking out for some deals and then that deal came and he was very quick. He just booked it and he said, no, this is the best deal we could get, on the price for the flight. So he just booked.
Wow. I've not even heard of this. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, how's everyone doing? Yeah, Ritika, I saw yours. Looking
Okay.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check with everyone else. Akash sent something. Oh, Varsha's is looking good. Now we have two Varshas.
Yeah.
Yours is looking good.
That's what I was wondering when I saw her. I said, but Varsha looks like different. So.
Yeah, the new Varsha is an actually old friend of mine. So she's actually my old Varsha. Okay. So are we done? Would anyone else like to share their illustrations? Or you want to put it on the group? Yeah, nice.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. That's looking good. Very nice, Susan. Lovely. So yeah, the design on the lanterns is definitely going to look really cool. Not just keeping the lanterns blank. So, Alka, after you, when you're making the designs on your lanterns, again, don't make all of them. Make the make the designs on the lanterns on the top or the right, and leave the others blank, and then take a call whether you want to fill up everything again. That way, you can show a progression of detail. That also looks nice. Okay, so if everyone is comfortable, we can end the session today and we'll pick it up next week. There's one Saturday this week, I'm gonna have to do a double class, a weekend. So can we do it next weekend, 13th, 14th? Wait, Alka, I've muted you.
Yeah, so this coming weekend I have to go for a wedding. So I'm out of station from 13th to 16th.
Ah, okay. So
So please
this
don't
weekend.
do this.
All right. No, never mind. Then the next weekend I have a workshop in Pune, so I won't be able to do it then. But we can then do an additional week in May, maybe. Oh no, May already we have. So all right. So 20th, 21st, we'll have class on both days.
That's fine.
That yeah, so that we will compensate for the class that we will miss, excuse me, on the 27th. And then in May, since I'm leaving late May, I'd like to compensate for that during May itself. So then you don't miss out anything in May. Then June, we won't have class, unless, of course, I've asked Susan if she would like to conduct my class during June and
Oh,
one
nice.
July.
Yay, nice, Susan. Yes.
If she has time, I don't know if she has time, but I've just
I
proposed.
don't know if I can fill such big shoes. It's too much.
No,
Too
it's
much-
not big.
Oh, come on, Susan.
Hardly.
You
much
can.
pressure.
You can do it.
Of course, you can do it.
And
So
it's us.
exactly. So she's thinking about it. Hopefully, she can do it. So then you won't miss any classes. And then in July, I'm coming back first weekend of July. Then I can do a compensatory class in July again. All right. Okay. So I
Okay,
will
bye,
catch you next
everybody.
week. Bye.
Bye, happy Gudi
Bye, everybody.
Padwa.
Bye bye. Bye.